My name is Elisabeth Weber. I grew up in the church. My faith was everything to me. It shaped who I was, what I believed, and how I lived my life. I believed with my whole heart that life began at conception. Abortion was wrong, it was murder. I spent years protesting outside abortion clinics, praying for the women going inside. I truly believed I was saving innocent lives. I married young, and my husband Thomas and I were blessed with 2 beautiful children. We raised them in our faith, teaching them the same values I held dear. Life was good, simple, and aligned with everything I knew to be right. When I found out I was pregnant with our 3rd child, joy washed over me. It felt like a gift from God, another soul entrusted to our care. I couldn't wait to meet this little one, to feel their tiny kicks, and to hold them in my arms. My pregnancy progressed smoothly. I felt the flutters, the kicks growing stronger each day. We already had names picked out, a crib ready and waiting. Our family was about to be complete. I felt so connected to the tiny life growing inside me, a love so fierce and pure. Then came the day of my 20-week ultrasound. I went in excited, eager to see our baby on the screen. I lay back, anticipation bubbling in my chest as the technician moved the wand over my belly. But her face, usually bright and cheerful, grew serious. The silence stretched, heavy and ominous. "There's no heartbeat," she finally whispered, her words a punch to my gut. My breath hitched. No, it couldn't be. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. This wasn't the plan. The doctors confirmed what the ultrasound showed. Our baby was gone. The room felt like it was closing in on me, the walls echoing the devastating news. My heart shattered into a million pieces as I tried to process the reality of our loss. My body hadn't realized it yet, but the life inside me had ended. I felt a strange disconnect, as if my body was betraying me by holding on to something that was no longer there. The emotional pain was unbearable, but the physical pain was a constant reminder of what I had lost. They explained that carrying a non-viable pregnancy to term carried serious risks: infection, hemorrhage, even death. The doctors spoke in calm, measured tones, but their words were filled with urgency. They were trying to protect me, to save me from a situation that could quickly spiral out of control. They recommended a termination to protect my health, my future, my ability to be there for my other children. It was a difficult conversation, but they were clear that this was the safest option. They wanted to ensure that I could go home to my family, that I could continue to be a mother to my living children. But I was in South Carolina, a state where the laws were unforgiving, where the government had decided that my life was less important than a pregnancy that could no longer result in a living child. Our state had just passed one of the strictest abortion bans in the country. No exceptions, not for rape, not for incest. The news had been filled with images of protests, of people shouting and holding signs, but it all felt distant until it became my reality. Not even for the life of the mother. The law was absolute, unyielding, and it didn't care about the nuances of individual cases. It didn't care about my suffering, my fear, or the very real danger I was in. I was trapped, my body held hostage by a law that didn't care about my life, my pain, my reality. I felt like a prisoner, my fate decided by people who would never know my name, my story, or the agony of my situation. The hopelessness was overwhelming, and I couldn't see a way out. My future, my health, my very existence were all in jeopardy because of a law that saw me as nothing more than a vessel. The following weeks were a blur of agonizing physical and emotional pain. My body, still clinging to a pregnancy that was no more, continued to change. My breasts ached, my stomach grew, and the morning sickness raged on. But there were no happy kicks, no reassuring flutters, just a heavy, aching silence where my baby should have been. Every morning, I woke up to the cruel reminder of what I had lost and what the law was forcing me to endure. Each day that passed brought me closer to the potential complications the doctors had warned me about. The fear was a constant weight, a shadow that followed me everywhere. We traveled to different hospitals, desperate for someone, anyone to help. But the answer was always the same. The law was clear, the risks to the doctors too great. I was a prisoner in my own body, my grief compounded by the injustice of it all. Finally, after weeks of agonizing waiting and searching for a solution that felt impossible to reach, we found a doctor willing to help. We had to travel out of state, away from our support system, away from everything familiar. But it was our only option. The procedure was quick, clinical, nothing like the nightmare scenarios I had conjured in my head. But the relief was short-lived, quickly replaced by a wave of grief so profound it threatened to drown me. I was left with empty arms, a broken heart, and a faith that felt shattered beyond repair. I couldn't bear to look at my children, their innocence a painful reminder of what I had lost. I couldn't stomach the thought of going back to church, to a God who would allow such suffering. I withdrew from everything and everyone, retreating into a cocoon of grief and anger. My experience forced me to confront the harsh realities of the very beliefs I had championed for so long. It was as if the foundation of my faith was crumbling beneath me, leaving me to question everything I once held as absolute truth. The black and white lines I had drawn between right and wrong blurred into shades of gray. I found myself lost in a moral fog, where the certainties of my past no longer provided the clarity I desperately needed. I had believed I was fighting for life, but what about my life? The life I was living felt like a battleground, where every decision was fraught with doubt and fear. I began to wonder if the cause I had devoted myself to was truly just, or if it was a cage that trapped me and others like me. What about the lives of women like me, facing impossible choices, our bodies and futures held hostage by laws that claimed to protect? These laws, which I once believed were righteous, now seemed to strip away our autonomy, leaving us powerless in the face of our own lives. I began to read, to research, to listen to the stories of other women who had endured similar losses, who had been denied agency over their own bodies. Their voices resonated with my own pain, and I realized that my struggle was not isolated. It was part of a larger narrative of oppression and resilience. And slowly, painfully, my perspective began to shift. The walls of my old beliefs started to crack, allowing new ideas and understandings to seep in. I found solace in the stories of others, and in the quiet moments of reflection, I began to rebuild my sense of self. The anger I felt towards God, towards the church, towards the lawmakers who had condemned me to suffer, began to morph into something else, a fierce determination to fight for change. I realized that my faith could be a source of strength, not in its old form, but in a new, more inclusive and compassionate way. I became driven to advocate for the rights of women, to ensure that no one else would have to endure the same pain and helplessness that I had felt. This crisis of faith transformed into a call to action, a mission to create a world where justice and empathy prevail. I am no longer the woman I was before my loss. The person I used to be, filled with certainty and unyielding beliefs, has been irrevocably changed. The pain and sorrow I experienced have carved deep lines into my soul, reshaping my very essence. The experience broke me, reshaped me, forced me to confront the limitations of my own beliefs. It was a journey through darkness, where every step felt like a struggle against an overwhelming tide of grief and confusion. I had to face the harsh reality that life is not always black and white, and that sometimes our deepest convictions are tested in ways we never imagined. I am still pro-life, but my definition of life has expanded. It now includes a broader understanding of what it means to truly support life. It's not just about the unborn, it's about the quality of life for everyone involved. It's about ensuring that every child is born into a world where they are wanted, loved, and cared for. It now encompasses the life of the mother, her mental and physical well-being, her right to make choices about her own body, her own future. I have come to realize that a woman's health, her autonomy, and her ability to make informed decisions are paramount. These are not just abstract concepts, they are the very foundation of a compassionate and just society. I am now an advocate for reproductive rights, for compassionate and comprehensive healthcare that supports women, not condemns them. I believe in a world where women are empowered to make the best choices for themselves and their families, without fear of judgment or retribution. This advocacy is not just a cause. It is a deeply personal mission born out of my own experiences and the lessons I have learned. I share my story, as difficult as it is, in the hope that it will open hearts and minds. By speaking out, I aim to break the silence and stigma that often surround these issues. I want others to know that they are not alone, that their pain is valid, and that there is a community of support waiting to embrace them. I fight for a world where no woman has to endure the pain and suffering that I did. A world where empathy and understanding replace judgment and condemnation. This fight is not just for me, but for all the women who have come before me and those who will come after. It is a fight for a future where every woman is treated with dignity and respect, where her choices are honored and her voice is heard. This is my new calling, my way of honoring the child I lost and the woman I have become. It is a journey of healing and transformation, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Through this new understanding, I have found a sense of purpose and a renewed commitment to making the world a better place for all women. This is my story, and it is one of hope,